Where do I begin with this movie? Where do I begin with this movie? With this movie. Wow. What can I say really? How is this any different to anything we have experienced in the black community so far? For the last 40, 50 years, you could say. I mean, look at the white community and you see them using Captain Marvel and Black Widow and all these other characters in the Marvel universe as, stance and depictions of woman strength. To create a new narrative in regards to the white woman becoming strong and powerful and able to compete against the men. But I will surmise this. This has always been the case in the black community. And I had my own assumptions that this started in Africa. Didn't have physical evidence to show that, yes, it happened in Africa, but you can always tell because history always repeats itself. History always repeats itself. Now look at the black community today. How often do you see a black man showing true patriarchal dominance over black women to the point that they are literally the true dominant force in our community? I would say I hardly see this. And when you do see this, it's usually hinted to be a form of oppression. Now, why oppression? Because in truth and in fact, it's a shaming tactic hinged on the appetite of former women in our community, the ancestral women of our community from Africa who wanted power over the men. Now, I remember there was a tribe shown on the media at one point that were being depicted as a woman-led tribe with no men in leadership of said tribe. Now, somebody like myself who is a student of history and loves to dive into history will look at something like that and ask himself, how come this tribe has no men in it, leading it, frankly? You look at Chinese kingdoms before China was formed, had men ruling them. In the Caribbean, where we are from, we see the Amerindian tribes, the Avaks and the Caribs. They had men leading them. You go to America, the Cherokees and other tribes had men leading them. You go to Europe, look at the tribes, the Celtics, the Gauls. They had men leading them. So why are they trying to push, especially when regards to the black community, that they were women-led tribes? Hence this premise being used in the movie right now, The Woman King. It's because they have seen consistently that our women have been the most desirant and the most desiring of having power over the men. Now we in the Caribbean have looked and observed America. And we have seen the civil rights movement and the subsequent movements after that, and the rise of single motherhood in the black community, in America more so, and the rantings of the black women in the community, saying that there are no good men, saying that our men are unfit to lead. Now, is that really the case? I would say no. I would say that these have been shaming tactics posed towards us men to keep us in a subjugated state. And remember, I said keep, not put. Why keep? Because this has been the case for a long time. And again, I hit back to Africa. Because I'm sure that when the slavers came to Africa, they saw those showings of community imbalances between the men and the women, and decided to capitalize on these things. And how ironic. The same Dahomey tribe with the woman army are now being depicted as a symbol of freedom at this time in history in the box offices. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the Dahomey tribe and going into the history of the Dahomey tribe, so I will not go into the history of that tribe per se. However, I will state this point. I will surmise that based on the history that have been communicated to us in regards to this kingdom, Dahomey kingdom, the French invasion of that kingdom is really what is being depicted in this movie. And they are trying to spin it as that being a victorious showing in regards to this kingdom. Why? Why would they do this? Because they know that our people are emotional. Most of our people don't care much for history. Most of our people do not research. And most of our people hate to be seen in a bad light, even if they are actually expressing themselves in a bad light. So then, seeing this movie and hearing the critiques of this movie, they would say that you are hating on said movie. You're being racist. You hate your own kind. You don't want to see black people rise. But is that really the case in regards to this movie? Is it really a medium of elevating the black community? I would say no. It is just another showing of how much our women are dominant over us. Because look at the movie. There is a literal king there. Yet we see him subservient to the general of his woman army. She's the one telling him to go to war, not the other way around. And is that different to anything we see today? Of course it's not. We see from households to the church to commercial and professional settings, and oftentimes our men are unable to speak and delegate to our women, especially the strong men, because oftentimes you are deemed to be a dictator. And why is that the case? It is because, for some apparent reason, our women are offended in seeing us operate in such a strong manner. I would say it's because a lot of them envy that position and want to be in that position themselves. It is that simple, really. In psychology, they call it projection. You could even surmise it to mind games. Because look at feminism, for example. They claim that we are oppressing women and we are holding back women. But then under a feminist system, we see that they are holding back and oppressing men. Another example. Look at the plight of black women in regards to being overly sexualized by white society. And then parallel that to what is being seen in the trailer of this movie. A young black girl is engaging in a sexual act with a grown white man. Now, if they are really against this act, then why is this a thing in the movie? I will tell you why. It's because black women use sex as a tactic for subjugation. No wonder they are easily identifying with a kingdom from Africa which made its name historically in the conquering and selling of their brothers and sisters to slavers. This is a showing of their fixation in regards to power. At this point, they want to control everything in regards to the community and form it into the image of what they want it to be. This is why a lot of them do not want and were never desiring of a strong black man. This is the true reason why single motherhood is really so rampant in the black community. It was never about the man not wanting to be a father. It was always about her reforming her family and her community into what she wanted it to be. Not what is good, not what is truthful, what she wants it to be. And furthermore, as we see in this movie, they are actually willing to rewrite history and communicate the rewriting of history and the hiding of the truth to pose a strong narrative in regards to themselves. The true feminist ideals and expression within their ranks. This is simply a showing of the lengths that they are willing to go in order to meet their goals. It is no different from how they run their households. They will mentally subjugate their son, castrate his masculinity, and then reform him into the man that she desires. She will groom her daughter to become the replacement in her home so that she could go out and have a good time. Everything being rooted in how she'd been viewed by the people around her. Everything being geared towards her selfishness and the fulfilling of her desires. So in conclusion, all this movie really is the showing of the inner workings of today's modern black woman. She's no longer interested in the traditional way of the family. She's no longer interested in the true reformation of the community. She's no longer interested in reconciling with the strong black man. All she's interested in is power and the rewriting of gross and wicked historical accounts in order to do so. The Dahomey tribe, or kingdom, were fixated on monetizing slavery. They were the very people who imprisoned and sold their own black brothers and sisters into slavery. And for them to identify with and glorify this kingdom is simply a showing of who they really are at this point. No, for us black men, you have to simply take it for what it is and move on from there. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for further content. Have a good day. Peace.